All right, that is going.
Already pushed the tweet button, so I doubt anybody's waiting on pins and needles for it. But
yeah,
I am.
Yep.
I want to see it.
Oh man.
so there were 2 days on the ship that we had like we could use our phones, like when
Yeah.
we were like docked or whatever. And I thought my phone was messed up because they changed like the Reddit logo to like the pixelated one.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I literally just like FaceTime my parents, and that was it. Like I didn't mess around because I was like, I'm not going to the Bahamas and sitting on my cell phone the whole time. So we, I get to look, and then I saw that thing on there today. What exactly was that pixelated? Because they mentioned it like the Bungie, like DTG and all that. What was going on there?
I think this is something that Reddit did, and it just caught track, in a Destiny community.
Our place. They created a big. It essentially turned into a mosaic where people were putting in their own pixels and making art. But it took like a community to take over a space. And so our Destiny the game and our DTG banded together and created what they showed on the TWAB. I like kind of paid attention to it only because like countries are banding together, and it was kind of funny to watch and see that stuff, but like I don't know too much about it.
Yeah.
It's like Spain was like, "Hey Mexico, let's get over here. Let's push Brazil out of here." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. I am the now the defending beer chugging champion of the Nassau Senior Frogs. So no big deal.
At what location?
Nassau, the Bahamas.
Okay.
I tried to get him to put my picture on the wall, but they wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I guess that emblem looking out's pretty cool. It's black.
Yeah. It's
That's
black.
one of the few emblems I actually took the time to enter in the website. So
Mm-hmm. The one for the fundraiser they're doing is pretty cool too.
Yeah, the kilts.
Mm-hmm.
can't be
So-
coughing like that, Tiffany,
Cough, that was a sneeze.
or sneeze.
Anyway.
You gotta give me the sign or something. That way I can mute.
You're not.
Yeah, we are. Yes, we are. We're live.
Ryan,
We're
you're
live
not-
for the pre-show. You can't be cursing on here.
That's the one she's playing Call of Duty. Oh, have you all tried out the Fortnite no build mode?
No.
Oh,
No, I
man.
don't play Fortnite, man.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's hard for me to get into third person games.
Well, especially when you get in there and the game puts you against bots for the first game and you get a win. And then the second game, they put you against people that's never touched a mouse and keyboard before and you get a win. And then the third game, you're playing against people that understand the game but can't shoot worth a lick. And then you get another win. And then in the fourth game, you finally get placed against players that actually know what they're doing.
So they thought you were a Smurf, basically.
Well, I just never touched the game.
You know
So,
what I mean? Like
yeah.
somebody starting off with 3 wins.
Yeah.
You think it's probably his second account, third account, or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was fun. I like it.
All right, we about ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody check their squigglies.
I see my squiggly.
Yeah.
I see it squiggling. Right now it's squiggling.
Listen, I got the cough button handy. So just be prepared to jump in if I go silent for like the old pregnant pause. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
All right, Jared, you ready?
Yeah.
Click on the button. We are live for episode 55 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Friday, April the 8th, and I'm NotRyanFox here with my fire team, Jared.
Man, Fox, I just had one of the busiest days in Destiny I've had in a while. There's some of this late in the season that's just too much stuff going on in the game right now.
And the Chronicler himself, Chadocero.
I was busy yesterday, but I was working today. I literally just got off work and hopped on so we could do this today. But it's been crazy busy. I've been trying to grind out Gambit and ignoring everything else because I know there's a bunch of other stuff on the plate, and obviously waiting for Ryan to hit the GMs. But we'll talk about that later.
And make sure if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. Be sure you subscribe and unsubscribe and then resubscribe. Click the bell, turn on notifications, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us Bungie friend request. Join the Discord server. Looks like DMG is who brought the TWAB this week. You'll hear more about that later. But for now, let's get our intro music from our boy Leak, who you can find on Twitter at LeakOfTimeG.
All right, DMG has spelled us out for this week that if you have any weekend plans, you might as well just throw them away because there's a lot of stuff going on in Destiny. If you want to, some of this stuff is temporary stuff to go grind. So we're going to try to take you through what's been going on and what you should be doing. So first of all, this is the first TWAB of April, which is pretty crazy that we're already in the 4th month of the year and we're like 6 weeks into the season. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff got released. And the first thing that went on this week is Gambit Labs started up with Invasion Swap. We know our Warlock Gambit aficionado Fox was in there playing that, and also Chad trying to get that rank ups in. So how did that feel, guys, as they're finally changing up Gambit a little bit?
Ooh, it was a trip for sure. Like it's weird because normally even with the freelance the way it is, you can see that people are trying to time out their invades and stuff. So they're trying to time out the banks, when to drop it, and then run in so that you can hit the enemy team and make them lose 40 motes all at once. And you can't do that in this mode. So it's a little bit weirdly predictable in a way because as soon as you bank, there's going to be an invade coming up. So it's easier for you to pay attention that you banked so they can invade than it is the other way around watching their bar go up. But as far as the regular, it feels like it's played slower. And there hasn't been as many times where I've been absolutely just been like, okay, this game's over within like the first minute. Because you don't get that banking 30 motes and then an invader coming in and wiping your whole team out. So there hasn't been as many times where you just completely lose all hope within the first minute or two of the game. So that's been nice. It's definitely been a change, and I've been happy with it. But I've only been happy with it because of the fact that I haven't felt like I've lose all hope as much. Like the great, that's a positive, I guess, but it's not like the most amazing thing ever. But it's a step in a good direction, something new. So
Yeah.
what does our warlock think?
So I got home late yesterday evening. Woke up around 4 o'clock this morning. Hopped in the shower, was wide awake, came in, started grinding a little bit out, trying to catch up for the week that I missed. And I played probably like 3 or 4 games of the invasion swap. I played probably 20 games total of Gambit today, roundabout. The majority of those, I would say at least 70, if not 75%, were played in the freelance playlist. And I had a great time. Granted, I like Gambit more than most people, but the changes that they've made, some of like for instance, if you zoom in, you don't track through the walls and things anymore. It seemed like every match was pretty close, probably within 15 to 20 seconds, save like 3 or 4 matches, that were like somebody backed out or something. But most of the games, they went. We were getting our primevals around the same time, and then it all came down to who could damage the boss the fastest. So, I was running a lot of Titan. I was trying to get a reset in before the week was over, and I think I did that. I think once you get a 5 going, I think you get like 400 XP every W and around like 300 or 320, I want to say, with a loss. So you kind of move through the ranks fast, and there were many matches that I was getting like what is it, by the skin of your teeth or whatever, like where you barely win, or like the never give up where you're down and come back at the end. All thanks to the Curus of the Falling Star and that Titan super. So the only bad part, it seems like it's very predictable. The 3rd damage phase, you should be killing the boss. If you don't kill the boss in the 3rd damage phase, you will lose 100% of the time, unless it is just the worst 4 players ever put together on the other team. But otherwise, I tried to invade. Invading was much more difficult. There were very few like army of ones committed against my team. So I think that it's not perfect, but it's better.
So yeah, that's good to hear. Unfortunately, this Gambit Invasion week also dropped the same week of Grandmaster Nightfall's coming out, and a lot of people look forward to this, and it's a reason to grind up your artifact power and getting your weapons and armored level up high enough so you can get that 1575 to go in. And a couple patch notes ago and in previous TWABs, they talked about adding acute burns to Nightfalls, and they said that this acute burns is not supposed to be in Grandmasters, or however that was a misinformation put out in some way. I don't know, either the community managers or the strike team provided information. Somebody got the wires crossed, and they're actually in Grandmasters. So what that is like, if it's solar acute burn, that means your solar weapons are going to do 25% extra damage, or any solar source, but you're also going to take an additional 50% damage from solar sources. So I mean, it's kind of a good thing, but it's also can really hit you hard in an activity that just maybe a one-shot snipe is very likely to happen, depending on your resilience and your and your resistance. So, have you all got a chance to go in there? I did a lot of LFGing today in Grandmasters, but have you all experienced the burns?
Nope. I'm definitely gonna lean on you on this one.
Okay.
I read about it. I read plenty about
Yeah.
people's experiences.
Yeah.
You know, people talking about wells and bubbles and all kinds of fun stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see what's Jared's experience here.
Yeah, I left Friday after work for vacation and got back like Thursday evening. So, and today, both of you weren't on, so I didn't really feel like LFGing through that. So, I did some of the like Gambit and the Wellsprings and the legendary psyops, that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I'm sure it's more difficult, but we kind of had the conversation last season that GMs are becoming too easy. So, is 25 and 50? That seems a little steep. Maybe like 12 and a half, 25 would maybe be a little more reasonable, but I haven't played it. So, I'll take your word for it, Jared.
Yeah, so I like LFGs and stuff because, like, most of the time people go into LFG with, like, no comms. They know what they're doing for the most part with we've discussed on the Discord page we get into. And I was like, all right, let's just see how this goes. So I do LFG Grandmasters, to grind them out, try to get these adept weapon wolves. I was able to complete 5 of 6, and the one that I didn't was Lightblade. And that's because there was so much arc damage, and that is arc burn on as the arc acute burn. And I was double stacking the seasonal thermoclastic resistance mod, and also putting on another either melee or splash damage resistance. And you look the wrong way for a split second, and you're dying to splash damage. And with a lot of these fallen sabers is arc the same way. There's a lot of arc snipers that used to just be like, oh, I have 7 resilience, I'm fine, I don't need to run an arc resist. And that's no longer the case. So now, like, even if you're 7 resilience and you get sniped, you're gonna die unless you have an arc or a sniper resist on. So it is changing. It does, in my opinion, it does make the Grandmasters a little bit more difficult. However, if you know what you're doing and you expect into the burns a lot, like, adaptive munitions is now the most important perk in the game to me. And basically, you want one of every flavor just to go along with the acute burn. Because you don't. So my loadout was Arbalist, adaptive munitions weapon that matched the champion mod needed, and then either leading or fusion with a rocket launcher. And in my opinion, as somebody that plays a lot of Grandmasters and been doing them for, this is now the 6th season, they did get slightly more difficult, but after you just get that learning curve down, you're going to be going through them even faster now that you can do extra damage.
So, do you really think that it's a mistake that the burns are in there?
I think it was a communication error between whatever strike modifier group is in Bungie telling the community managers what to put in the TWABs. I think it was just a miss, because they talk about in the TWAB here is that they didn't want the seasonal modifiers to be in the Grandmasters. So that's like invisible screeps. That's in the Master and the Legend version of Lightblade. That's not in the Grandmaster. So I think they wanted to change up Grandmasters a little bit because they kind of been stagnant for loot wise has changed, but the same Grandmaster. I mean, some of them we've done 3 and 4 times now.
The only thing that changes is whatever the champion mods are.
Yep.
Changes the loadout very slightly.
Yep. And this season, I mean, Arbalists are going to be strapped to your hip, and you're really not changing that much going from strike to strike. And Arbalists will be a part of our weapons breakdown this week as we dive into it. So yeah, Grandmasters are great. There's the loot chase is definitely, I'm feeling the pain of that. I completed like around 9 of them, and I've gotten 8 plug ones and only 1 palindrome. And that palindrome was trash. It was like Statch Fall Thresh. Like, who cares about that? And that's the most painful part of it for me. And then the Vanguard memento that you can put on your weapons, like for the additional shader for the crafted weapons, is trash. It is like it is. Zavala definitely had his hands in making that shader, because it's just like, you're gonna represent the Vanguard out there, and it's gonna be orange, and it's gonna be terrible. All right.
So, wouldn't it be, with the weapon crafting introduced, do you think that in a couple seasons we'll see something like you can get red bordered weapons on GM completions on those weapons?
Are you saying in order to craft the nightfall weapons?
Yeah. Like not necessarily not every completion,
Yeah.
but say like it has like a 10% chance of dropping a pattern of whichever of the nightfall weapons are out that week. Do you think that's something they'll do to try to drive engagement up, like whenever things slow down a little?
I sure hope they don't, and I don't think they will, because I think the playlist weapons is a set of weapons they will always keep outside of weapon crafting.
Yep. I think like the strike playlist stuff is gonna end up like Gambit, and then the Grandmaster stuff is gonna just be in Grandmasters, and that's it. I don't think they're gonna craft it. I think crafting, they're gonna add like more seasonal stuff to it. Maybe some world weapons, like some Amalon Viced stuff in there, because they already did. They have some Haka weapons in there. But I don't think the Grandmasters stuff is gonna be in there. I hope not, because I want to take more people into Grandmasters to grind for guns. Versus them doing 5 Grandmasters, getting lucky, getting all 5 the ones they want, and then never playing Grandmasters again, because they're like, oh, I got my perfect palindrome, I don't need to play anymore.
Yeah, I can't imagine them ever letting you craft an adept weapon. I think at that point we're moving into a stage of Destiny that why even have to level up anything? Just let people just like make whatever they want. Let their armor splits be whatever they want, and just optimize completely out the board. And at that point, would be nerfed in so many other ways by the time that comes out. I don't think that's
so.
I don't think that's Destiny
do you just feel that about adept weapons, not just like regular palindrome or?
Well, I don't want people crafting regular palindrome either.
Yeah, I mean it would be a pain in PvP, because that's all you would see in the Crucible, I'm sure. So, I mean, they probably won't do it. I would lean towards no on that, but just wondering what you guys thought.
I think it'd be interesting. I think that would drive engagement, but I think that would kill the replay, the little bit of replayability that these playlists have is grinding those weapons. At that point, you're only grinding the seasonal ornament, and then getting your resets in. That's like remember when Bottom Dollar came out, people was grinding in Gambit. One of the worst times ever to be in Gambit with that kind of sandbox it had, just trying to get bottom dollars. Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, we were all there. Still looking for the one that I want. Yeah, so that's what's really been going on this week in Destiny, and also Trials is going on this weekend with Freelance. However, there's something funny going on with Trials this weekend, and I don't know if y'all seen this report. That's why I'm hippie. And it's that Bungie's aware of the issue that allows flawed passages of confidence to award adept weapons. We won't be fixing this until after this weekend. This is the last week to get Shearer's Wrath will be available, and go forth and enjoy the fun. So, if you've gone flawless this season, you have the passages of confidence unlocked. So you can purchase it and just play the card. And then once you get 7 wins, at the end of the game, Adept Star's Wrath can drop. Even if you have losses.
That's painful.
Yeah,
It hurts.
that hurts a little bit. But however, we
Yeah.
know, Fox, you brought this up in the past. Bungie's mistakes end up being a part of the game. That they dries up engagement. And
I mean, it's fine. I mean, I have a good Adept share as Wrath, so I'm not.
I
I'm not.
happy for
My
you.
feelings aren't hurt too bad. So
I know that. However, there's some other Adept weapons out there that's trials based that you don't have. Right? Let's just say next week they're like, you know what? After 7 wins, you can get an Adept ISO to drop. And you know the player engagement of that weekend is going to be through the roof. And this, if you want player engagement, let people grind out. You know, it takes a while to get 7 wins if you're not very good at the game.
isn't that the truth?
And you might be in there for a while. You might be in there for 40, 50 games. And that is great. Drives up the playlist. But you have a goal. You have a light at the end of the tunnel. I think this is a perfect thing to really drive up engagement of the trials playlist.
Yeah, just what they should do is just instead of capitalizing the A on Adept, just make it lowercase. That way, the people that get their feelings hurt real bad, you know, they'll still be able to lord that over everybody.
Or make it be the Vanguard shader on the ones that you can't change the shader on it, and it has to be the Vanguard shader.
Yeah. or just spell it like just spell it wrong or something. Like I would get a lot of enjoyment out of that myself. So
all right, Chad, how many Iron Banner tokens you guys saved up right now?
I think close to 2,500 at the moment.
Well,
I've been slowly trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, you're going to have 2 total weeks left in the season to spend them. And one of the weeks is next week. So you definitely put a big dent in there unless you're wanting to wait for the last couple of weeks of the season that you might be checked out by then and not caring a whole lot what's going on in Destiny 2.
Ooh.
So next week, Iron Banner is back. So grind out that seasonal quest and get those bounties done if you still need pinnacle rewards, but also spend the tokens because the tokens will go away at the end of the season. And I would say, like, you know, the weapons out of Iron Banner is not amazing, but there's definitely some things in there to add to your arsenal here or there. I mean, if you like 180 hand cannons, it don't get much better than the one that's an Iron Banner, which there's a very few people that do.
The scout rifle, what is it? Aisha's Embrace, maybe. It's supposed to be kind of decent, right?
That's trials.
Aisha's is trials, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. Disregard.
I think it's called Guiding Sight, maybe.
Yeah, that gun's trash.
Yeah, it's kind of rough.
He just wanted to lord his Aishas over everybody else.
No, I don't. I mean, I do have one, but
Yeah.
only because I held over like 18 trials engrams and cashed them in day one.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's mainly what's been going on this week in gameplay and what's coming up next week. Bungie is also launching their foundation. Always participates in Kilts for Kids, and this is going on. I think this is the 11th year of them doing it, and this is benefits the Ronald McDonald House. And where are we at here? And it's the fundraiser. It's going to bring the usual suspects of these 3 people wearing kilts, and they kind of just lay into that. And of course, they want you to donate some money and then help achieve their goal of $77,777. It's pretty typical Bungie wanting to get up to something with a 7. And there will be some incentives along the way. So $50 gets you a Cerzian lenses emblem. I don't know if I said that right. So that's $50 to get a pretty cool emblem. So I think that's probably the minimum that people want to invest in here, that you get something cool out of. And you should get an email before May 6th if you choose to donate. And they have different prices going all the way up to $1,000. And you can get a studio tour of Bungie's brand new headquarters. And that should be ready in late 22. And tours will be going on in early 2023. So those tours of Bungie, they've been putting those out there a lot. So I think they're pretty excited about this new studio that they're doing. I'm not sure what's going to be coming out of there besides video games, but something else is going on at Bungie HQ that I'm ready to see one day. Maybe I can hit a good.
Is that a segue?
Maybe I can hit.
Is that a segue to the article?
A good scratch off one of these days, and
listen. If it's 1,000, you got to drive to cash it in though. If it's over $599, you gotta, which you wouldn't have to drive very far, but I would if I hit it. So,
yeah.
If I tell you what, if I hit it, I'll pay for it, and you can buy the travel. And if you hit it, you can pay for it, and I'll buy our travel.
Okay.
And I'll be along for the ride.
Chad, you can take care of your own travel.
Chad, you're over there. It's like 30 minutes
you're
away.
not. You guys aren't very far. Yeah.
I'll just take a sleeper car, like a train, up there.
Just take your Tesla. You don't even have to drive. You just sit in it and be good to go.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, next up is Pixel by Pixel, and this is something that happened with Reddit. I think Chad knows a little bit more about what happened, but basically there's some community layouts where people could go in and place a collar on a pixel to make something look cool.
Yeah, it was on our place, and basically the entirety of Reddit had free reign on this. I want to say mosaic, but just a big empty space, and people had to band together to be able to create their own pixel art, essentially. And our DTG and our Destiny 2, or Destiny the game, got together and decided to make a couple things. I see that there was a Telesto. There's the Traveler. I think the Witch Queen symbol, right?
Yes.
Savathun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good amount of real estate. Like I followed a couple of smaller individual games, and they get like a little tiny square. There was a point where like there was an Among Us reference in like 50% of the pixel art. I don't know how they did it, but it was amazing. But yeah, it's cool that people banded together and two subreddits came together and said, look, we want to take over this section. Let's do it. And they did it, and they held it for a while. So that was cool to see. I don't know too much more than that. I did look at it a couple of times and go, hey, that's neat, and then just kind of look around it and see what else was there. But it was definitely cool to see all those different references for Destiny that were in there for sure.
And to celebrate this, Bungie's giving out a free emblem to everybody called Crush Gamma. And it's a pretty cool black emblem. And Fox, you said you already loaded into Bungie Rewards and claimed the emblem, right?
Yeah. So I was looking at the rundown here, and I saw the 9-digit code, D97YCX7JK. Entered that in, and when it says basically whenever you log in, it should be like in your flare tag of like your collections. So I'm not one to rush out and just enter emblems for the sake of having emblems, because typically I just kind of keep ones that come with like the pins, and those are the ones I kind of use, or the ones that are like $25 or $50 donations, the ones that come with those. So, but this one I thought looked pretty cool, so I actually did enter it in.
You know, It's a hunter main. It's mainly a black emblem, so I have to claim that and probably rock it, to go with all my other shaders and stuff. And another thing that should have happened this week, you should have got an email from Bungie if you're registered for the newsletter, and you should have been able to vote for mechs or monsters. So have you all was able to cast your vote yet?
I was about to throw gang signs and make an M for mech, and I'm like, that wouldn't be enough.
Yeah.
Could be either.
Yep.
But yeah, I saw that email and immediately went in there and just went mech right off the rip.
Where I've been on vacation, I haven't really kept up with my email, but I actually have it right now. So I'm actually voting right this second, and I am also going to go with mech.
All right. Across the board, all three voted for mech. And Bungie, that means we do read our emails, so you can free to email us any issues that you come up with, game topics, or if you need somebody to play test a new Grandmaster or Raid, just hit us up, and we'll happily do it.
Yeah, we'll come to your summit.
We got a bunch. We got a Gambit play tester. We got PVE/PvP endgame tester, and then just a lore guy. If you guys want to talk about stuff,
Chad
I'm more than happy to listen.
He's like, kind of just like a peek at the storyboard. I think I can help you out here.
I just want to look at it. I'll sign an NDA, I promise.
All right, that pretty much does it for the TWAB.
That's already out there. You just have to know where to look. I can tell you the story for the next 3 years. It's probably all fanfic, truth be told, but I can tell you something.
Oh man, so yeah, at the end of the TWAB, DMG showed us the mechs and monsters again, and everybody knows Fox can't resist the leaks. If you need a rumor confirmed or denied, just reach out to him. But me and Fox stay away.
I do love leaks, man. I can't help it. Even like Game of Thrones, everything. I'm always just all over the leaks. So.
All right, it's time for the weapons breakdown, and what we're going to do differently here is we're going to discuss Arbalest, and right now it is like the universal tool for all nightfalls and anything it requires like multiple different shields or anti-barriers. Like just slap on Arbalest, you're going to be a lot easier of a time and just like breeze through content for the most part. And is that gun too good? And does it deserve a nerf? Or should some other exotics be brought up to its level to where at the end of this season, Bungie's going to talk about usage rates of exotic weapons, and this one's going to be high. So, Fox, you're shaking your head no. So, go ahead and what are you thinking?
So the gun's too good. I love the gun, but it's too good. So they either need to. So I like the fact that it's anti-barrier. I think that's great. So the way I would fix it is it can either still break all the shields, but it does like 15 to 20% total of like the precision damage that it does now. Like nerf the body damage and let it still take out shields, or don't let it take out every single shield and keep the damage where it is. I think that's kind of would be the easiest way to fix it.
So you wouldn't want to bring anything up to kind of just like, well, you can kind of run one of these other two weapons instead of the Arbalest.
I mean, so I'm not a game designer, but to me, it seems like, man, we're already awful strong in this game. That power creep thing that everybody talked about like a year and a half or 2 years ago, like it's happened again. So I mean, it's at the point now to where like we could go an entire year and never need another weapon. Like a god roll with any other weapon. Like the guns we have now, like the three of us have, there's nothing that comes out that's going to be significantly better than what we have, except maybe it's a different flavor.
All right, Chad, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that the most I would do to Arbalest, I wouldn't get as mean as Ryan gets. I think if it's popping a shield, it doesn't do any extra damage, and then the precision damage keep it the same. Because like most of those guns that shoot through a shield also still deal damage. Like if you're hitting a precision shot through the shield, it'll pop the shield and then hit the enemy for the precision. But I think if it's hitting a shield and popping it, no matter what the flavor is, it's dealing 100% of its damage to only the shield on that shot, and then you can shoot the enemy after that. So that lowers your DPS because you're not still like, because you're shooting through the shield and hitting the enemy. It's dealing less damage because there's a shield, but you're still dealing damage. So it would take one shot to pop a shield, and then the rest of the shots after that are dealing damage. I think that's what I would do to it. Maybe drop its damage a little bit because it is a linear, so it hits hard. But I think there are, because the main reason that Arbalest is as good as it is right now is because it's anti-barrier and it's range. And Ariana's was good, but only because it was the only option. And Arbalest is amazing because it's anti-barrier with any flavor essentially, because you don't need a match. And I think like if you gave Borealis anti-barrier, it'd be like the same thing with just a little bit, maybe a little bit more ammo, but it wouldn't be as good. If you brought up a couple of other exotics and gave them, not every one of them, but if you gave more exotics anti-champ mods, I think that'd be helpful. Because this season is it's kind of hard to build a loadout if you don't have anti-barrier because Arbalest is so good. So if it's like unstoppable overload, you're like, well, do I have to run a glaive? Or am I running like Bastion, I guess? and an overload?
Yeah.
I did that. It's fun. I love Bastion though. So anybody that doesn't like Bastion isn't gonna have a fun time. What's the other option? The bow? Leviathan's Breath?
Yeah.
No, that's like like just like Bastion, you have to love the gun to use it. So I think like 2 or 3 more options for champions would be what I want. I think Arbalest does need to be toned down down for sure. But there needs to be more options so that it's not the only option. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Disruption break on that weapon is kind of what makes it so good. The extra 50% damage you do after you pop any shield. So that's barriers and any other elemental shields. That's the thing I would target. I would actually take that away. And I'm not sure what perk I would probably give it. I'll probably give it to something like Compulsive Reloader, like one of these newer perks that like Bungie's kind of excited about. Just throw one of that on there because it already has Genesis that kind of will help you. But Disruption Break, I think, is the issue with that. And I would look at Borealis and consider bringing it up. And I really wanted it to have anti-barrier for that reason, but it'll fall into the same category of what Arbalest is now. It was just strapped to your hip and so many people using it. I was looking at something at Hard Light. I was like, why doesn't it have like unstoppable rounds? Because Hard Light literally it
ricochets.
It ricochets. So I was like,
yeah, it has overpenetrate.
Yeah, I was like, that's something that I actually think that wouldn't be busted, but it's like a good change to that weapon. So, and you look at a weapon like Malfeasance, like when you stack five slugs and it does that explosion, like that should be overload, right? So, yeah. I think it's a factor of like everybody's kind of getting tired of the champions and they just want to deal with them the easiest way possible. And no matter what the season is, whatever exotic is the best at doing that, that's what it's going to do. I mean, Divinity is still needed whenever those overloads because who's running SMG and auto rifle for overloads? It doesn't work well, no matter what they do with it. So that's kind of my thought.
The overload's horrible.
Yeah, definitely. So I have noticed a lot of like champion hate the last month or so on Reddit. Are you guys with that? Because it kind of took me by surprise. I kind of like champions, but I think I'm the only one on the planet, according to the internet.
Well, the internet is always full of loud people. I'm fine with champs. because as a squad of 3 people that get along well and have good teamwork, they're not really an issue. They add like just something that for us is like, all right, here's 15 seconds that we have to focus on one thing, one guy, and we have to call it. We have to make the call. Jared goes, all right, I'm gonna stun the overload, hit him, and then everybody lays into him to kill him. And it's just like 10 to 15 seconds of us focusing on one guy for a second. It's like a little tiny, not a mini boss, but a little itty bitty boss that's in there, just thrown in. And I'm fine with that. The problem is when you get inconsistent mods like Overload on like autos and SMGs, where I'm running Osteo because I want to hit level 1 million by the end of the season. And you have to get to like, if you don't have the overloaded mag, you're getting to like the last 4 or 5 bullets before it procs overload, and all those bullets are homing in and hitting the enemy, and it's just like I have to run the entire magazine down before I can overload it, and then I have to either switch to a gun to kill it or wait for the reload and then shoot it again. And it's the worst, because if you're dealing damage, guess what, you switch back to Osteo, now I have to reload it, and by the time I'm reloaded, the enemy's full health again, because I'm not hitting it with overload rounds if I'm alone. If like something like Malfeasance, where it's like on the 5th shot, it just, all the explosions proc it, excellent. That's consistent. And then imagine if there's 3 people using Malfeasance,
Yeah.
2 shots from one person and then 1 shot from the 5th, and it's overloaded and just everything's blowing up. Like, great. I just want it to be consistent. Just like Arbalist is consistent. Bastion is weirdly consistent. And all these other, like Divinity is consistent. They're consistently stunning the champs. The reason people are pissed off is because nothing else is very like the only real overload option we have is Divinity. And people are like, well, I want to use Arbalist. It's like, yeah, I get it. But that's not an option here unless you want to use an auto rifle.
Yeah.
It's just that consistency. I want to be able to stun it and not have it be buggy on me, is it? Champs are fine. I just want the mods to work correctly.
I think so I did run probably like 15 master lost sectors today, trying to fill out some exotic holes that I have from like the new Witch Queen exotics. And I know that this isn't a fix, but what made it easier for me was running like the overload, gnawing hunger, stuff like those auto rifles that have overload, makes it a lot nicer. So because when I am running a auto rifle, I always pick one with overload. That's probably why I don't notice it quite as much, as you're mentioning. Because you got like is it the crate?
Yeah.
Or the I think it has an overload.
The
or it's
overflow?
either it or the sorry, overflow. My fault. Or the what is it, the Herod C or whatever, that one, it might have overflow as well. So if you are stuck and you're using your exotic slot, if you have like an overload auto rifle, that would be something you could look at to maybe help to stop them from getting their health back on you all the time.
Yeah, champions, at this point, you just kind of you're getting tired of Bungie telling you how to deal with champions instead of just like, I like to deal with my champions through hand cannons, right? So why can't I just like have a hand cannon and have an option to be overload, anti-barrier, or unstoppable, right? I just prefer to use hand cannons. Just let me use hand cannons. I can still I have to do the mechanic of stunning a champion with whatever primary weapon or a special weapon. I feel like special weapons is probably the only way that like they should probably need to change from season to season. But primary weapons across the board, like if you are a sidearm user, God help you. But if you only want to use sidearms, you can use sidearms whatever season, for whatever champions. Like I don't care. All right.
Okay. I see that. So all primaries are active at all times. You just have
Yes.
to pick before you go into an activity. And then the specials are themed per season. So those would be like 2 that get picked every season, essentially.
Yeah.
Or a heavy, like sword,
Yeah.
rocket, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's going to be it for the weapons breakdown this week. And it's everybody's favorite time of the week. And it's time for lore from chadocero.
Well, the good news is for people that are tired of talking about the raid, this is the last week for the raid. So we're going into the final armor set. We're talking about a little bit more about Zeta and the worm, and we're going into that warlock set. So this is when Rolk brings back the worm, and the worms, everything, the plans finally come together with the worms there. So as I see the task before me, I wear it with devotion. She was a frog in my estimation, small and colorful, but toxic to touch. In your infinite wisdom, you looked beyond the worm I brought you to the least of the leeches that infested Fundament. Shaving thin my gift, you infected them with conquest, and now they see themselves as artisans of the final shape. My place is not to understand you, my witness, but to serve the final goal you see more clearly than I. But now your gold leaf parasites call themselves gods, and carve out their divine homes, and I am to watch this sniveling frog. Was this castigation, the toll I pay for my failure with the Aslid? You have cast me and my ego once more into the cold depths of the unconsequential world. I recall stepping into her realm and her face twisting to betray restrained delight. She thought herself mistress of this domain you leased her. She did not, could not appreciate the precarity of her situation. So sure of her dominion, she could not recognize her jailer, or that she lives within a prison formed from her own ego. One I will put to work for you, my witness. The capture of her race will flow out from the realm. Each self-satisfied smirk will forge a new link in their chains. Had I known that my current quandary would be, I could have heeded my own insights on ego. Regardless, even in this predicament, I am unbowed. I see the game, I raise the stakes. It takes no foresight, nor does it require any sort of precognition to hypothesize how exactly this particular queen of the hive reacted to the development of new establishments in her throne world, my witness. Acquiescence. It was decidedly not. It would be dishonest of me to claim no delight from her indignation, though I assure you, these simple pleasures are born out of nothing more than a desire to see her succeed while remaining in our care. Too much recoil on our part from confrontation with Savathun would surely beget a feeling of true autonomy for her, and while my undying trust for you, my witness, is eternally absolute, I remain circumspect in regard to any hidden intentions Savathun may see to fruition were she allowed to. She remains, after all, and as you know, conniving and opportunistic. I am, however, hopeful that in due time these concerns will fade. Hopeful, my witness, but not convinced. Begrudging as she may be, and with the continued cooperation of Zeta, construction of the larva breeding chambers has commenced. The armies of Oryx and Zevoroth grow exponentially in short order. Should they envision future conquests, they will indeed have the tools to make it so, as is your wish, my witness. Should Savathun desire to play cards in contrast to our own, I will, without hesitation, bring to mind that she made her choice long ago, and that only if she wishes for eternal release should she dare to betray it. I reach for solace. It is stolen from me. Conquest, warming as long ago memory of blue sun on my face, all the while reminding me of the exhilaration of existing outside the throne world. If only for a short while, I live in this glory, a rare opportunity to step away from the exile within the ascendant chrysalis, as I gather more cunning for my sparring with the witch. Surely you placed me as her minder, my witness, as a hardship to hone my intrigue. But in this moment, astride a pyramid once more with my upstart engine splayed before me, my purpose is truer than any found in the wretched stones of the globe that formed me. Caloronda flashes beneath my gaze, yellow haze streaks ruby clouds. The vaulted ring surrounding Caloronda shatters into a shimmer like wind-blown sand, a prescription against the folly of confidence writ across a million ceramic shards. I live in this glory because the full purity of their extinction was stolen from me. Because without predication of my own, a cult had sprouted an apocalyptic jubilation of the darkness and blessed oblivion. They grew for years in the shadows, drawing the disillusioned from the poorest to the wealthiest. These polyps of the long shadow sensed as if by providence a coming end and believed the breaking of the vaulted ring to be the final sign. They would ascend and bring their kind with them. Moments before their world was mine, their enzymatic armaments scrubbed all life from this wet rock, a guileful theft, triggered by my own glorious coming. And there was nothing calling to the witch's involvement save the twist in her face that betrayed restrained delight. I sought relief, I found delight. She builds a palace here in her hiding place, and I perceive her self-assurance. For all her grandiose treaties on secrets, the high princess all but screams, "Look upon me." And so I look upon her today, my witness, absent a brother. Loss, and true and inconsequential loss, is new to her palate, but she hides her distaste for the bitter well. I address her. Savathun, your brother is no more. He is absent from the final shape of things, as he always must be, but I sense a foreign hand at work. Would you accuse rather than state, Rulk? She clothes herself in playful tones. I have played a role in more of my brother's deaths than not. So very true. Congratulations, then. I suppose after so many eons of killing one another, to build your strength, his final end must feel quite in the accomplishment. No more must your wits dabble against his play mortality. Now only matters of consequence will occupy your precious time. And thankfully, I find myself well provisioned now for any conflict. Ah, I had nearly forgotten. You are the heir apparent to Oryx's dominion, yes? I know you, Hive, are loath to accept gifts rather than seize them, armies, fleet, and of course, the Taken. If I had seen this coming, perhaps I could have prepared to secure the secret of taking itself. I bark in amusement. She makes no attempt to hide her distaste for the laughter of my kind, and it is indulgence itself to let it flow freely. Clever. Always one step ahead, the Taken will serve you well against the Guardians until you slay just the same. My sweet vile brother would look at a scalpel and see a hammer. I am not him. Yes, you do seem to be much more creative use for your playthings. A pity that will become ever so challenging for you moving forward. Challenging? I do not see confusion across her face often. I savor the scent. Until now, the shadow form which you skulked has been your brother's. Without the Taken King to cast your swaddling shade, you stand naked in the sun for all to see, yes? No shadows, no hiding, no tricks. Just the Guardians and their god-slaying weapons. I have little to fear from the sun, she insists, but there's no twist in her face, no secret delight. I reach for nothing. I am subdued, I shall remain useless. Tell me, O witness mine, does the light that fills this once dreadfully tiresome space blind you from its newfound glory? You expected the same old correspondence from your dragooned errand boy, no doubt. Surely, just as you expected your machinations within my throne world to continue unfettered until your definition of eternity came to pass. Well, don't I have some unfortunate news for you then? But this comes as no surprise, of that I'm sure you're always watching. Let me share my perspective then, which you must be waiting for with bated breath. My acquisition of the light itself is delightful proof of an existence higher even than yours, a sort of karmic wit, if you will. Though I remember not all the eons-long hardships I endured at your whim, the nefarious sentiment lingers within my mind, overcome only by the pleasure of your assured discontent. It was said pleasure that gave me strength to disperse the light throughout this prison you called my home. Since it is now to remain my domain, it has been decorated to reflect as such. No longer does this plane live only with the lackluster ambiance of darkness. It is brighter now. My truth can finally thrive. No longer do the walls that birth this parasitic chains house your machinations, the tools and parasites within shattered. And no longer does your subjugator subjugate. He lies ensnared within his obtrusive eyesore. For upon Rolk's attempt to subdue me with that toy he's annoyingly always on about, his upended, I was able to counteract it, showing firsthand the power bequeathed to me in my new state. Now the once great pyramid lies fractured, a sight you will become familiar with. So try and send your scorn or your disciples, or even bring your many slaves to reclaim your loss if you must. But this is my domain now, and you shall never set foot inside it, even if I must draw my final breath to keep it that way. So Savathun, upon getting the light, takes control, because these are all like letters that he's Rourke's sending to the witness. He's kind of just talking out loud because the witness just watches. But he after Rourke gets trapped on the ship by Savathun, she takes control of the correspondence and tells the witness, "Hey, you're next." So,
And she kind of tells us that at the end of the campaign that
yeah,
she warned us.
she did, but she also aimed us right at him
Yeah.
on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So she's
Yeah.
definitely the master of the board at the moment, even though she's dead.
So, do you think
She's not dead.
Savathun hope we take out the witness or that we lose?
Well, she even says even if she has to draw her final breath,
Mm-hmm.
he is not taking control of that throne world ever again.
Okay.
So I think that being her most important thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think whatever happens outside of that throne world isn't really her problem.
Okay.
But I think I think she believes that we might be able to do it, or at least get close.
Mm-hmm. We probably need some kind of help, right? We'll probably get some new abilities.
Yeah, I mean, she already gave us the Cabal,
Yeah.
gave us the Fallen. Like, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Have you guys been following up with the Destiny, the official Destiny Twitter account where they're posting like the 2 truths and 2 lies every week? Have you guys been seeing that at all?
Yeah, I've been reading them, but I wouldn't say that I'm like dissecting them in any way. I was like, yeah, I seen it and remember that they tweeted it out, but like,
Yeah, I mean, some of those
I
are
haven't kept a
pretty
log.
cool. Yeah, because I look at them and I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure 3 of these are true, you know, but obviously they're not.
Mhm.
So
yeah. Yep. So I think it's time for the mailbag. So we'll go ahead
Oh,
and
baby.
get into that. Question 1: are you still running the raid 3 times a week like you would previous weeks? For me, no. I think 1 good clear to where you get your 2 red weapons by doing the extra chest, and then the first clear of the week where you can buy a red weapon is kind of all I'm doing, unless people need boss clears, which I don't care to help out with that.
I think
go ahead,
no. No. I wish this people have fallen off on this raid pretty quickly, which is sad. But understandable. So like Jared said, I mean, 3 times doing the boss 3 times, non-issue. Non-issue at all, as long as as you got 4 solid people doing it, because the other 2 are just killing everything. So running 3 bosses real quick, 1 full raid all the way through so you can get the red weapon, and then 3 bosses is essentially all I'm really wanting to do at the moment. If I have a full squad to run 3 raids like back to back to back, or at least like 1 a night each week, that'd be great. But currently it's more like a 1 raid all the way through, save a boss checkpoint, and then get the other 2 bosses done either that night or just smash 2 bosses later on.
I think the best way to do it would be to have somebody have the totem encounter, somebody have that checkpoint, and then somebody have the the checkpoint where you have to run the shield and the taken and like the prism, and then you just do the 4 encounters and you skip that opening thing where you're riding the ship. That's like the preservation mission, and then you skip the big jumping puzzle to the secret chest. And I think if you could just run the 4 encounters back to back, it would be much better. Like if there wasn't so many meters to traverse between encounters, I think that's what made the one with Tanix, that raid.
Deepstone.
Yeah, Deepstone. I think that's what made it nice. There wasn't a lot of traversal between encounters. You were kind of one right after the other. And if this raid was set up that way, yeah.
That
Yep.
opening.
So-
yeah.
Yeah, I see. You always did that, so like I always forget.
Yeah, I mean
that
that's the best
exists,
part
so.
about that one is you can just speed through it. And
Yeah.
this one you can't. You have to move with a payload.
Yeah. And we was like doing it 3 times a week and like for like a whole season, and plus like you could glitch out and you could negate the whole mechanic of that opening encounter, which made
Yep.
it amazing.
Yeah, that first area is really fun if you don't die because of the snow.
Let's get some heaters out there. I mean, come on, by now we had it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, at least some
Alright.
hot hands.
Next question: Arc or Solar 3.0 for what you're hoping to get next season?
I kind of want to save Arc because I want Thunder Crash to stay as it is for as long as I can because I'm scared. So I'd say Solar, and also partially because I do definitely want Gunslinger to be more of a thing again, and I want to see what they can do with Blade Barrage. And then mix and matching all the solar aspects and stuff for the Titan is going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then Warlock is it's going to be weird for the Warlocks to figure out what they're doing. Because right now it's like very solid, like I'm either doing this or I'm doing this. Those are the 2 things I'm
Yep.
doing in Solar, and that is it. I have my loadout for both. So it's going to be funny to see Wellocks doing weird stuff like throwing fireballs off into the distance and Icarus dashing on top of a group and then dropping a well on top of them because they were about to die. Like it's gonna be weird seeing all those things be kind of mixed together, and I'd like to see Solar next, so I can still keep Thunder Crashing stuff.
And see, it's funny because I had the exact opposite because I'm so comfortable with Well and like the like Top Tree Dawn that I just want to put it off because what if they just like butcher it, So I'd rather do the Arc because it's the one I use the least. The only time I use Arc is in Gambit with the Warlock.
That's not
Which
the opposite.
now,
It's the
honestly-
same thing, just for different class. Subclass.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's the opposite. So I don't want Solar to be messed with. You don't want Arc to be messed with because that's what we prefer to play. So because of that, Arc, especially because I'm probably going to regret this because they said Arc is going to be like the speedier like traversal class, which is going to make the Crucible just an absolute nightmare when it comes out if I had to guess. So but I'll still stick with Arc first.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a problem, Fox. Whenever the Arc 3.0 comes out, no matter what, they'll probably introduce Twilight Garrisons at the same time. Whenever that happens,
Oh,
that where
oh,
yeah, I do want Arc to happen next season because I think Arc is the worst subclass in the game right now. Because I think if Arc, there's the Thunder Crash, and then there's Chaos Reach. And I think that's the only 2 that ever get touched in like in-game PvE activity. And then PvP, like Thunder Crash is cool to use in PvP just to get a guaranteed super, but I don't think like in no way they no longer are in the meta and what they do. So I think Arc is needed. I think Solar is always when I looked at the subclasses before like we got the 3.0 stuff, like Bottom Tree Void Hunter was like probably like the best PvE hunter subclass. But other than that, like they tackled Void first, but I thought Void was in the worst spot, and I think Arc is in the second worst spot because I think the Solar subclasses with Celestial Nighthawk, Sunspot Titan, even with the Bonk Hammer Titan, the Solar subclasses were just in a great spot overall in the game. All right, our next question here. What is the best way to reach out for a Grandmaster or a raid with you guys? And do I get to pick the two of the co-hosts I want to run with for the Grandmaster?
Somebody's trying to make us get contentious here.
No, I
So
don't have to play. You guys can go with
No.
them.
whatever. You're like a master titan though. So that I don't know. I guess
Jared's
it
also
depend upon.
Titan,
Yeah,
if need
I guess
be.
it depend upon like which subclass you want. I mean, yeah, you can pick as long as the other two are available. I'm fine with that. But the best way to reach out to do that would probably be on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. If you don't have us, like if you don't have Twitter, I would say leave a comment on the YouTube video would be a way, or send us those Bungie friend requests, and I will make sure that I put those in the in like the details, like the information where we put the timestamps and stuff. I'll drop those in there as well, and I'll actually remember to do that this time.
And on the Discord as well. The Conqueror's Corner Discord is always a good place to talk to us and get us. And if you pick the other
And-
two, I'll be on comms reading at you guys angrily.
And if you join the Discord, you get to see all of Jared's god rolls that he posted there. So that's another perk.
I think I ran out of that luck. I think I need to play with Chad in order to get good rolls
Hey.
because he takes the bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
you can pick two of us, right? And a certain combination is going to be like agreeing and not yelling at each other. And then another combination like it's going to be a little more contentious and, you might have a little like back and forth drama. So it just depends on what kind of time you want to have,
It depends on how everybody's work day went. I've noticed that about us.
Yeah.
If somebody had a bad day at work, sometimes we take it out on each other. So
I can remember one night, bad day at work, just long. Fox was like, what should I run? I was like, we've done this for 5 seasons, Fox. Why do you need to know what to run? Don't you know?
yeah. I can always tell when Chad's had a bad day because he's just really quiet. He's not like laughing and gregarious. So
I'm less callous like when I've
And
had a bad day.
Jared just turns everything off when he's had a bad day at work. Like all of a sudden, it's just Jared disconnects from the chat and everything else. So all right. This next question's interesting. If you were able, but we'll do this in 2 parts. So I'm going to make this 2 questions instead of 1. If you were able to raid with 3 other content creators, who would you choose? So since we only picked 3, I assume that means the 3 of us plus 3 others. So do we each want to pick one?
Yes, do that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, because then you can break off in partners like 2-2-2 if need be,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the raid.
I will go last.
All right. Well, I know who one of you are going to pick.
Yeah, Jared's is obvious.
We'll leave it. We'll leave it at that. So I have an idea of who Chad would pick, but I know Chad doesn't watch a lot of like content.
Mm-hmm.
So
I watch
so,
these
Chad,
Conqueror's
I'll
Corner
let
guys a lot.
yeah,
I
they're
listen to them
pretty
on
rad.
the road.
So Chad, who would you pick?
See, it'd be a really tough choice, and the only reason I'm leaning towards the one that I would pick is because the other one, like I've seen some of his gameplay, and I'm like, I want you to be a better player than than what you are. But it's always like backfilling, just filling the video with stuff. So I'm like, it's not gonna be the best gameplay.
Like the
It's-
B-roll?
it's-
The B-roll
exactly. It's
stuff?
just B-roll. Like it's not him
Yeah.
soloing anything, being exciting, because that would take your eyes off of listening and watching. You would start watching instead of listening to what he's saying. So like I'd want to do Bife, but I don't know how good he is. Because we'd end up just talking about lore, and I'm like, I don't want to do that in a raid. I want to play the game. So I would pick good old Papa Dado Wado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So you picked Dado?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. This is kind of hard because there's a couple ways, and like if you ask me this question again in 6 months, I'm probably gonna go like lead a different direction than I am now. Some of the people I used to watch all the time, like I don't watch at all anymore. But probably just to see it, probably like esoteric would probably be would be my choice. Just to see it. Just
You wouldn't have to play the game. You just
yeah, man. I would I'd find some really cool emotes to like cheerleader emotes and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that would be that like as far as a skill level, that would probably be my pick. But this other person, they don't play the game much anymore. They moved on to some other games. Chevy, that plays with Redeem.
Yep.
I really like Chevy, so that would probably be up there, really high. If like whichever day you ask me, it would probably be one of those two.
Yep. I think as a content creator, I think that we would get along with the most and like just enjoy playing with. I would have to go with EK, Equagan. I think that dude's like just pretty cool, and like
Yep.
and the like his patience of what he's done stripping people through grandmasters and raids and dungeons for as long as he has is pretty crazy to me, and that's something that I know I'm not. I'm not very good at that sometimes, and I know that. I just like don't have the patience or the fuse needed, or like the ability to teach and to trying to learn from him what he's done through that. I think it'd be cool to play with him and just hear him out on that.
That's actually that's a really good one.
Yeah.
I have, is he still streaming a lot? Because I haven't seen him on in a while, but he might be like in the mornings and I'm at work, like one of those situations.
He's a lot of times like it used to be when I would get on when I start my day of the work and like put on some background noise. Like he's like been on for 10 hours, like through the night, to where it's like
Oh wow.
yeah. So
Yeah, man, he puts in the work for sure. And you know, what was it like? Didn't he clear like 5,000 or 10,000 GM Sherpas or something
Yeah.
like in the last couple of months? Like it's
Yeah,
just something
insane.
nutty.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy.
All right. So part 2 of that question. If you were able to play a Trials card with 2 other content creators, who would you choose? Well, I'll go first, probably because I probably won't pick the same people that you guys might, but I would choose Crafty. I've really enjoyed watching him.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed watching Crafty for a real long time, and this might be cheating. You guys can let me know, but he does come and play every once in a while. But like Dr. Lupo,
Yeah.
he'll come in like especially big content drops. Probably him. He would probably be my second.
Yeah, Dr. Looper he's probably the biggest name out there that still plays Destiny every once in a while with the big expansions, right?
Yeah. So he was like he got big playing Trials back in the day. So like, you know, he's always kind of popped in and been around. No, he's not around for very long into the season by any stretch, but he'll pop in and play some Trials here and there.
I think he stays familiar with this game because he knows the future of Bungie, that whatever they have next in store, he wants to still be familiar with the game and all
Yep.
that stuff. For my two, like I want to have a great time, and by having a great time is you win. So give me Gigs. I think like he's like
Oh, yeah, good one.
like might be the best Destiny player I probably ever seen. And then right along with him, that has such experience chirping people is Grenader Jake. So I will have to sit back and do absolutely nothing.
If you guys lost a match like with you three, that
Yeah.
would be, and like it's not like cheating or some network manipulation on the other. That would be.
Yeah.
But that man, I haven't seen Gigs on in a while. What's he doing these days? I know he was he got like credited in Halo, like he was doing that for a while. And then like Halo just absolutely died. So where's he? Is he still playing Destiny, or did he switch over to like Valorant or something?
He hasn't been streaming that much. I've seen him stream like over like a couple weeks ago, like before the raid day one race and stuff. Like he did a little bit of stuff, but he's kind of went dark. So I don't know if
Is he trying to hit the pro circuit again on something?
Maybe he's trying to get into game development. I don't know.
Yeah,
That kind of that's what happened.
he's good though.
Yeah,
He is good.
maybe he's a part of Midnight Society now. I don't know. Who knows?
Ooh, that'd be neat.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of PvPers, so I'd obviously I'd go with a more easily well known one like Frostbolt, because his videos are entertaining to me all the time, fun to watch. And then someone that can help me sandbag Frostbolt, Mr. Fruit, because I feel like it's like you need a little bit of a crutch. Let me and Mr. Fruit hold on to your legs here for you, and we'll sit there and giggle at each other and make jokes and we'll just watch Frostbolt go off here and there. I feel like it'd be a fun time. We probably wouldn't go to the lighthouse, but I believe in Frostbolt.
I think
I would like to.
he would get you all there. Frostball, and I mean, Fruit still knows what's going on too. So like,
Yeah.
I would. I'd like to give a couple honorable mentions because I spend a lot of time with Destiny 2, like Twitch running, just in the background. Pure Chill.
yeah.
He's one that I really like, and then obviously like ZK Mushroom. He puts out a lot of stuff. Astacross. He puts out content daily. If you've never seen any of their stuff, you should definitely check them out.
All right, our last question here. How many hours each week do you play Destiny, talk about Destiny via the podcast, or write about Destiny? So, for me, Monday through Thursday is like 0 Destiny now, except for Destiny Talk on Thursday night. And then I try to catch up on some weekend stuff. So, playing Destiny probably around, I would say 8 hours, and then talking about Destiny / like maybe writing the rundown is 2 hours, 2.5. So a little more than 10 hours a week total.
I want to say a solid 20. Couple hours a night, and then usually one full day of my weekend is typically dedicated to it, which is like a solid like 14-hour block of me just sitting in there with maybe like an hour or two cut out for like making food or doing something else, but yeah, typically one of my 2 days off, I'm sitting in front of the computer just grinding something out or messing around in somewhere, doing some bounties or just doing some nonsense. And usually it's maybe an hour or two every night. So yeah, right around 20 to 25 hours a week typically on the slower end. Like in this week, it'd be probably like 25 to the end of the season.
So this is a hard question, because if you catch us like the first 2 to 3 weeks of a season, it's going to be high, like real high. Like you catch us on an expansion, like a major expansion release, I'm talking like 50 or 60 hours in the first week. But so let's say if we were to put that through, so I I probably play the least, just because I have to wait for my kids to go to bed most of the time, which is like 8:30, if not 9 or 9:30, depending upon like what activities are going on. So, for the podcast, it's probably 3 hours by the time we prep, record, and then I upload and do all that. That's 3 hours. I probably play 10 to 12 a week. I write for 2 or 3. I try to get a couple articles out a week, so you get paid by the words, you got to get a couple articles out. So doing that, I would say probably like 20. 20 is probably a pretty average amount, but that number is tremendously higher, and my sleep is miserable like the first few weeks of a new season. So but overall probably 20. We should all go to, what's that website, like Time Wasted on Destiny or whatever. So that's it. I probably don't want to say mine out loud, to be honest with you, but that is a website that exists if you're interested in your own numbers. But I think, was that the last question on the mailbag, I believe?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just don't include your Xbox time, Fox, and you won't feel that bad about your time in Destiny.
Yeah, I did check my my Steam time recently, and I was like, oh, it's only 1,600 hours. But, that's like 1,600 hours since, for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so, but I think that's kind of all we have. I'll let these other two guys sign off. But make sure you follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Subscribe on the YouTube channel, Conqueror's Corner. Get you there. We got some exciting stuff potentially coming down the pike in the next couple weeks. We'll let you know more about that once everything's kind of finalized. But you guys sign off.
Yeah. Just get in the Discord and add us on Twitter with those awesome palindrome drops that you're getting, because I'm not getting any. So just let me know that these things still exist and that they're out there somewhere.
And don't worry, I'll play some with Jared this weekend, and we'll get him his palindromes so that I can stare at them in pure envy, and we can all celebrate Chad not having anything.
Go Cats.